happening? So we're on the water taxi. Darin here is also an architect. He's a brilliant songwriter and also an architect. So I'm going to hand Darin our fancy microphone so he can comment on any of the architecture. Well, I used to have a student lived in this building, by the way.
Right here?
Yeah.
See, that's a better version of what we were just looking at around the corner, remember?
Yeah.
It's the proportion of window to wall is better here.
Yeah, windows are important.
Ratio of
it doesn't
glass.
look like a prison.
Right.
And I like the suicide balcony.
Oh gosh. That's terrifying.
I know, it totally is. Come down there in the winter, slip and die.
Yeah, you know that's ice covered all winter long.
Yeah.
What I'm sort of amazed by, and probably what a lot of people are amazed by when they come to Chicago, is the tall buildings and that kind of the spirit of innovation around that. I mean, many of these buildings are 60, 70 years old, but they still are awe-inspiring.
The Board of Trade building, right?
Exactly.
With the statue on top there.
Yeah, so that's sort of Art Deco treatment of buildings, and at some point in the middle of the 1900s, architects started to take on this idea of the mid-century modernism, which was really a spirit of removing ornament from buildings and trying to open things up, but at the same time make spaces for people, which is there's an interesting dichotomy there, right? Because they were making architecture that was centered around the machine age and mass production and metal and glass, and the experience of the building from the inside is one of openness and of bringing the outside in. I wanted to talk about the Willis Tower for a second too, actually, because it's from a structural standpoint, it's an extremely tall building. Structurally, it's what's called bundled tube construction. Like, imagine you have a handful of straws, right? If you had one straw, you could really easily bend that thing. But if you bundled a bunch of straws together tightly,
bundled straws don't bend as easily.
Structural integrity.
And that's the structural integrity
They allow
of
that
the
height
Willis
to
Tower.
happen. Willis Tower.
Yeah.
There it is.
Just for like 2 seconds we
peek
went by.
through the canyon here, and you can see that.
The many canyons of downtown Chicago.
That's right.
Gloria has a question. We have a question from the audience.
Everything being built around the river, like what do you look into to make sure that foundationally all of these really huge, tall, beautiful buildings are going to be standing for such a long time?
I actually would have loved to have seen the construction of some of these, because with the river right here and these buildings being so tall, the typical standard for building a very tall building is what you see above. It's sort of like the opposite of an iceberg. What you see up above the ground, there's a nearly equal but not quite as equal proportion that goes down into the ground.
Civic Opera building here real quick. I always loved it. It's like a giant cement billboard.
Did they ever project things on there? It feels
No.
like you could have a great movie night,
You could sit over there and watch movies.
Project what's going on inside.
You heard it on the GBA boat tour. They can project movies on the Civic Opera building.
Show it on the wall so that you could. Oh, that'd be brilliant.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Excellent idea.
We'll have to get in touch with them.
Yeah, I'll get on that. I always have loved walking along here. I did spend some time working downtown, and I do spend some time coaching people on the West Loop, and I just love coming through. I never get tired of it. And I grew up here, and there's a metro station underneath all this, and jumping on the train underneath all that, and you get to come out and walk along the river. I've never gotten tired of it. Oh, you like that?
Does this building not terrify you?
Yeah. Now, how does that work? How does that work?
What building is that?
This building, I don't know what building that is, but that building is.
It'll tell us as we come by it here.
As it comes down practically comes down to a pencil point in the ground. At first I thought, isn't that neat how they're trying to kind of get themselves out over the river a little bit to maximize
And you realize
the
they're doing
view,
it on
and
both sides.
The other side tapers too.
So this is where the Chicago River comes out, the opposite direction it originally flowed. It comes out of the lake now and goes the North Branch, South Branch. South Branch goes to Chinatown where we got on. North Branch goes up through the northwest side. But from what I understood, I read something somewhere that the newer buildings in Chicago, what are they? Seismologists who deal with earthquakes and stuff. Seismologists, right? One seismologist identified that Chicago's at risk for if the New Madrid Fault ever breaks, of getting a good shake.
The big one.
They've designed the buildings to have a rocker effect, which also is there to a degree for the wind. So that you go up in the Sears/Willis Tower, and you go to the bathroom, and the water in the toilet is shaking from the building moving in the wind. It's very windy.
Also a terrifying thing.
There's the merchandise mart.
Oh, this is the merchandise mart. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that looks like a lot of square feet.
yeah, and it goes I think even further the other way. So you can walk around in there forever. What else? Is the building there with the it looks like a giant balcony with columns on it, right?
That's right. The big competition with tall buildings is, well, the first one is height, right? That's the one everybody hears about. But the other one is really what you're doing is you're building a sculpture, and you make these buildings can become cities all by themselves. You could have
some
a
of them
shopping
are.
mart
Yeah,
on the 30th floor.
There's one that has a Whole Foods downstairs. They have a coffee shop on the 7th floor. They have a pool. And I had a student who was in that building, and a lot of people who are on Chicago shows live in the building and stuff. And it's over on Superior Street.
Got the name
So
of
that's the
7
John R.
floors and
Thompson.
yeah. 7 floors and a penthouse.
7
It's
floors
all,
and a penthouse.
Corporate offices now there.
It's an office building, yeah.
It's an office building.
But there's also the James R. Thompson Center. So that's John R. So we discovered there's 2 Thompson buildings. The James R.
Wow.
Thompson Center is named after Governor James Thompson. What do you think of Marina City?
Marina City looks fun.
There's a Steve McQueen movie where they drove the car off of that into the river.
I think I remember.
Yeah, and my dad was downtown when it happened. He came home and he's like, they drove a car off of Marina City today for some movie.
This river walk is amazing.
It's phenomenal.
You don't see this very much. I was just in Paris a couple of weeks ago, and they have a little bit of that going on. And you take a boat tour up and down the Seine, and you see people out, partying on the side of the river. But this takes it to the next level. The way the street level comes right down, and and activates the river level is just great.
And we're docking now at the Wrigley Building. So let's get off and we'll go up here. Tribune Tower.
This is a new tower under construction right here too,
Yes,
which
it
I
is.
have read about in the past. Before I got here, I
Okay.
already knew that this was happening. All residential, I think, and super thin. Studio Gang is the architect for that. This building over here, Aqua, I think that's a hotel, right?
The one that has the
Wavy
Ripley.
So we were talking earlier about the competition of sculptural form and things. You can see all these different approaches, and that one is. We live in a world now of 3D computer design being integral to the architecture process, and the ability to make form like that is something that Mies van der Rohe couldn't have done back in the day.
Oh, so Mies van der Rohe, explain what his approach was to architecture.
So Mies van der Rohe's approach was, he came from Germany. He was in Chicago for a long time and designed several buildings here. So like on a small scale, the Farnsworth House, which is outside of here.
The Farnsworth House. Did you see Batman vs. Superman?
Yeah.
That's Batman's house.
Batman's house, yeah. So that's, we were talking yesterday about what my favorite building is, and I mentioned going to Villa Savoye outside Paris, but visiting the Farnsworth House would be almost equally a pilgrimage for me.
You mentioned on the radio yesterday that the architectural world, we would not recognize it from the inside.
The focus should be on the humans in the building, right? We're building all these kind of machines and stuff, but really the focus needs to be back on the humans. And the Riverwalk is sort of a testament to what Chicago does for the humans who have to live here.
It's not a have to live here. It's a want to live here. If you feel like you have to live in Chicago, you move. So then, how do you feel about the change in the way architecture is done. Did you learn on drawings and computer both?
My education was all hand drawing.
Do you miss that aspect of being an architect?
I do. Well, I mean, everything that I do, I try to make presentation quality when I do my work, when I'm making a sketch or something. You know, you want everything that you do to be able to be something that somebody might want to put on a wall someday or tomorrow. Modeling in computer is one way to create things, but sometimes it's very hard to create really what you want if you don't get your hand and a pen and a piece of trace paper going.
It's an art form.
It is. It's an art that you live in.
I noticed the Chicago Architecture Center.
We're right here across from
Chicago
there.
Architecture Center. There it is.
Yes. You could probably get a tour from there as well. But ours is better.
That's right. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
been a pleasure.
Thanks, Darin, for giving us the tour. I can't wait to build our building.
One of these days.
Lots of outdoor and integration.
That's right.
That's right.
Cut.